I just got back from the cinemas where I saw 3,000 Years of Longing by George Miller. It's about a lonely scholar on a trip to Istanbul who discovers a djinn who offers her 3 wishes in exchange for his freedom. While the trailers are edited as if it's an epic adventure movie, I was surprised to find a very intimate fairy tale about the power and importance of ancient Romanticism found in storytelling. Many great modern stories grapple with the horrors that came with the rise of technology and science in the 20th and 21st century, Lord of the Rings and Mishima being prominent examples. 3,000 Years of Longing stands firm ground in this thematic material and delivers a meaningful story that expresses why being in support of this is such a great thing. Let me explain why. Spoilers warning. Alethea, our main protagonist, has been a storyteller since she was a child. She now travels the planet giving PowerPoint presentations about how the myths once used to contain the world's mystery and meaning have so little value now that they are reduced to hollow tusks branded by comic books. Great nations like the Greeks and Romans had mysticisms that held virtue and guides for life. They had familiar bonds that were passed down through time in many different forms. Today, those being manifested through comic books primarily are lacking in significance, instead merely stealing their structures and worlds as a means to deliver serialized entertainment. Alethea is a weary individual who held much romantic wonder as a child, but she became jaded over time due to the loss of loved ones and the incessant pursuit of binary knowledge. She studies literature, philosophy, sciences, mathematics in the pursuit of knowledge rather than meaning. She holds so much in her mind, yet pours none of it into her life, convincing herself she is independent and content. While she cares deeply about the art of storytelling, she refuses to let the ideas there within propel her into action towards a higher cause or pursuit. It's interesting that the film released in a time just after when we've all been isolated for years due to a pandemic. I don't think this is on purpose due to George Miller because it looks like he was trying to formulate this story since the late 90s, but it's still really interesting to look at. We've all been consuming a ridiculous amount of storytelling and entertainment. Is simply the consumption of storytelling enough in life? Alethea seems to think so. But that's where the djinn comes to challenge that notion. This character arrives in the story and tells her many stories from his past, which begin to rejuvenate the original wonder she found in storytelling. It's a film about 2 weary individuals who tell stories to one another and come to revelations and changes because of it. I have a heart for the power of storytelling, so this is immediately going to connect with me to some degree, but I do genuinely believe that this is a great encapsulation of the beliefs I have towards storytelling. If you followed any of my screenwriting videos or know anything about me, you'll know that I believe in the concept that stories are metaphors for life. Since the dawn of time, stories have been a tool in which we may construct an argument in an emotionally effective manner. What this film is arguing is that we must not just soak up stories, but take in their ideas, themes, philosophies, and let them lead us towards a cause. Let them change our beliefs. In 3,000 Years of Longing, it's towards the pursuit of beauty and love. This intent and message is evident in the writing of the film. As the djinn begins telling her stories in an attempt to get her to make a final wish to set him free from his vase, she makes fun of his stories and prods at them. He continues though, and she starts growing ever more silent as his stories mirror experiences and feelings from her past. A common narrative I've seen in the majority of reviews for this film so far is how there's a deep-rooted irony in the film because it's about the value of storytelling but it fails to support its own narrative in any meaningful ways. But people are missing some connections. Let's look at just the way that she begins apologizing for interrupting the djinn and then withholding from speaking at all to simply soak up what he has to say. I think that debunks the notion in the first place. It's clear that the stories the djinn is telling has relevance to her, and her internal journey is directly led on by the stories. There's no separating these 2 elements of the film. There are setups within the stories that pay off in the real world. For instance, one of the stories is about a prince who goes on a violent crusade to try to find meaning in life, but is ultimately fulfilled in life by a love he finds for a woman. In the moment where he finds this love that redeems him, the film emphasizes him nervously gulping. Later, when the layers of the film start to peel back and we realize that Alethea's redemption will come through her desire for love, She too gulps nervously. There are a lot of little subtle details like this that add into the experience of the film. There are some odd pacing and structure choices that I'm not sure I completely agree with all the time, but ultimately the stories they tell each other are in service of greater changes within the personal lives and beliefs of the characters, which is what matters most. This is a very layered film that definitely demands your attention, but I would certainly argue that this is not disjointed or hypocritical in the sense that most people are saying. As a child, Alethea had a journal in which she wrote many wondrous stories that expressed her deep-rooted desires and beliefs, mainly of which was a love for an imaginary boy. As an adult, she expresses that she burned that journal because she was embarrassed by it. The ultimate signpost that shows the change within her is the fact that the film itself is a reading of a new journal she has created. She is reconnected with the beauty found in storytelling. Her stories are how she grows. She expresses that through stories is how she can experience emotion, so she has created this new fairy tale through her journey to be able to process and express her feelings. Through the maturing process of her life, she has come back to that childlike purity and pursuit of love. As the film progresses, we learn that the Jean is a longing lover, and ultimately, this lost passion for love is what Alethea wishes for. She was jaded by the loss of her husband, but through the storytelling it is rekindled. They realize that the desire for love is at the core of all humans, and then they act upon their new realization. There's a scene where shortly after she's been moved by the stories of the Jean, she's scared to put him through a metal detector at an airport. This scene, in my opinion, is clear commentary on the idea that she's afraid that technology and modernism could taint the beauty that she has found. But she escapes from there and goes to spend some time in nature. I think the film is important because it's a reminder that the mere consumption of story is not enough. That's not the goal of storytelling, lest it becomes hollow and pointless. Storytelling, from an ancient romantic viewpoint, is to capture our imagination and emotions to help us form our beliefs and guide us through life, to reinforce or challenge us. This film does deliver an entertaining adventure about the Jean and a professor sharing stories, but it offers greater philosophical insight we can learn from. This is what I want out of storytelling. I want to walk away from a story with clear indication from the artist that they believe there is a way you should be approaching life. This film believes in ancient romanticism found in storytelling. This film believes in the desire of love. It's opening night for the movie and absolutely no one was in our theater.
I just want to point out how sad this is. It just doesn't here. I'm very disappointed.
I'd urge you guys to go out and watch this movie because it's pretty valuable. It would be a bummer if it bombed. If you enjoyed the video or found it informative, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Otherwise, leave it a thumbs down so I know to do better next time. Thanks guys, I'll see you later.